Welcome to this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, where, as William Shakespeare wrote, all the world's a weightlifting platform and all the men and women merely players. I think that's what he wrote. The Weightlifting Platform is brought to you by the Panamerican Weightlifting Federation. I'm your host, Richard Mason. On this week's show, we'll talk to two of Africa's best about their successes, especially after joining weightlifting after careers in other sports. For the tip of the week, a common snatch mistake has been identified. We'll tell you what to do about it. And our regular feature, Good to Know, the first world weightlifting records. But first, here are the headlines. The world's strongest man is stronger. Georgia's Lasha Talahadze closed out the Moscow-based European Weightlifting Championships with a world record performance. The mighty 109-plus world record holder lifted 222 kilos for a new snatch world record and added to the total world record as well. Nations from across the continent gathered in a socially distanced kind of way. Gold medalists in the total represented Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Great Britain, Italy, Armenia, and Georgia. Full results are available on the IWF and the European Weightlifting Federation websites. The IWF has released more details of a championship switcheroo. The youth championships are going to Saudi Arabia, while the juniors will now be held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan this May. As the dates haven't been changed for those upcoming juniors, just the location, countries are not being allowed to add to their list of entries. A board meeting will precede the championships with the first attempt May 23rd. That meet wraps up May 31st. There are two major events yet to come this month. Athletes from the Americas are off to the capital city of the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, for the deferred 2020 Pan American Championships. Competition starts April 19th and it goes through the 24th. The 2021 edition is scheduled for November in Ecuador. Asia's finest are jetting off to Tashkent for the 2020 Asian Senior Championships. The lightest athletes from across that continent will make their first attempt Saturday the 17th, with the heaviest weights moved by the heaviest athletes on April 25th. Best of luck to all the participants in those championships. Those are today's headlines. Now, good to know. The International Weightlifting Federation, then known as Fédération Internationale Haltérophile, published the first list of world records back in 1925, but you wouldn't recognize them. The list had snatch and clean and jerk as we know it, but it also had single-handed snatch records, both for the right and the left hand, single-handed clean and jerk records, again, both right and left, and of course, a world record for the now defunct press. That is good to know. Now time to talk. We'd like to welcome two of Africa's finest weightlifters to the weightlifting platform. Mona Pretorius represents South Africa in the 63-kilo category and has been competing internationally for over a decade. Forrester Osei lifts as an 89 or a 96 for Ghana and has made magnificent progress since his first international competition in 2015. Welcome, both of you. Now, first, Mona, tell me, how did you get involved with weightlifting at first?
Hi, Richard. So I started Olympic weightlifting at the age of 12. This was 21 years ago. I was actually doing karate at the time, and my father was actually doing a lot of research, spending hours on the internet, reading books. He wanted to find something to give me the edge of what's going to make me more explosive, be a more powerful athlete. So he was looking for a lot of assistant exercises to help my karate. he actually saw then some overseas athletes, especially I think they were in Taekwondo at the time, and I think they might have been the Korean or the USA national team, and they were actually doing Olympic weightlifting as an assistant sport. So then the next step was to find a coach that will coach a female athlete 21 years ago, which there was a big stigma around coaching female athletes back then, and also the fact that I was only 12 years old. So it was very difficult to find a coach, and I was also the only athlete in my city to do weightlifting. And when my dad actually found a coach, he started training me in Olympic weightlifting to become a better karateka, and it helped me tremendously. And I actually became a 6-time karate world champion. And there was a lot of coaches then after that, which then believed in the sport of Olympic weightlifting because they actually saw what a great assistant sport Olympic weightlifting is, not just for martial arts or karate, but also for things like athletics and even things like rugby. Yes, and then just after that, when my coach started training me, he actually said to me, I think that you would be good enough to compete in a competition. And back then, I wasn't really sure about competing in weightlifting at all. I mean, martial arts, karate was like my only sport I was doing. I then agreed to compete in a competition, and I was 12 years or 13 years old at the time, and I ended up competing in a senior competition, and I won gold. So that's actually when like the spark of weightlifting happened, and I started to really enjoy doing weightlifting.
Forrester, how did you get started?
Yeah, my story is actually it's actually a funny one, Richard. I had just walked into my current gym um, in London to train and condition myself for off-season program when I was playing football. And when I walked in, I noticed they were lifting heavyweight over their head, and it just seemed that's the sports for me. I said to the coach I wanted to try it. The coach said to me I couldn't do it, so I made it my mission to squat everybody in the gym. And I went in there and I put 220 kilos on. I squatted 10 times, and the coach then gave me opportunities to train with him, and then he guided me to my first international championship, which was the African Games in 2015. And then, since then, it's just history. It's just being with him, guiding me, and getting me ready throughout my whole career. So my story is just it's an interesting one. I just wanted to be better for my sports then, which is football, American football, and then I discovered a new sports, which is Olympic weightlifting now, and yeah, here I am today.
Now, it hasn't been a smooth road for either of you. There's been missed attempts in your past. I'm sorry to break that to the audience, but now your first meet, the 2015 African Games, Forrester, you did not get a total, uh, but
Yes,
you didn't stop you because you were at Worlds in Houston just a few months later. Is that a sign
yes.
of? Were you worried about it at the time? I guess that you didn't get a total.
No, no. I was, a little bit disappointed with my result. Actually, leading into that competition, I was coming out from an injury, a back injury, and I just went out there and did what I could. I managed to snatch, but I couldn't get my clean and jerk session in. And you know what? I just said to myself, I'll have another opportunity coming into my first World Championship, and in Houston. So I just worked hard for it, and I actually managed to get some new PBs out there and just work hard for it. Since then, I made it up on myself to ensure that whatever competition I go, I put in a good results and play the game well and listen to my body and train well and put out a great result.
Fantastic. Now, Mona, you didn't post a total at the Commonwealth Games in Delhi in 2010. You didn't post a total in Glasgow 4 years later at the Commonwealth Games. But 2018, Gold Coast, you got that medal. How did that feel?
Well, I can tell you now that if a person had to see that video after I got my last clean and jerk, I think it actually hit me. Like, even though I actually got the medal on my first attempt clean and jerk, but in my mind, I said to myself that, the game isn't over until I finished all 3 my clean and jerks. And all 3 of them were successful, and they were South African records, the same like my snatches. And I just felt so in the zone, and I just felt so driven and so motivated, and I enjoyed myself so much on the platform. But literally, when I did my last 115 clean and jerk and I dropped it, I just got so emotional. I was just crying on the platform, and I think it just all hit me that, like, after 20 years of giving my everything for the sport, making so many sacrifices, after, bombing 2 Commonwealths before that, because a lot of people actually ask me, like, what is your expectations going into the Commonwealth Games? And, I told them, I said, I feel different. I feel confident. I feel ready. I feel healthy. I had no niggles or injuries or anything. So I think it all hit me at once, and it was probably one of the best moments of my life. It was so exciting.
Fantastic. Now, still with Commonwealth Games, Forrester, I was in the back room at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow 2014, and I ran into Dr. Kyle Pierce. He's a very well loved
Yes.
around the world coach, and he's from Shreveport, Louisiana, and he was wearing Ghana wear. Now, I understand that he's worked
Yep.
with you. What's it like working with Coach Pierce?
Dr. Carl Pierce is an amazing coach. He's got a great knowledge of weightlifting, and working with him is just excellent because he knows what he's doing, particularly when it comes into competition as well. He works everything out, calculate every single move. I mean, in terms of within the training or the warm up as well, and then he just know what he's doing, and it's so amazing. When I'm competing and he's by my side, I'm not worried at all because he's always got his eyes on the board and he's just playing the game, and he's just a great coach, and technically he is in tune and know what he's doing. So for me, the first time I ever worked with him was actually the All African Games in 2015 in Congo, and I was just ecstatic to meet him and work with him this time. And since then, it's just been amazing having to, have him as our national coach, and helping with our young generation of athletes back home as well. He's just an amazing coach all around. He's a great human being as well. Who don't love Carl?
Speaking of a special relationship with a coach, Mona, tell us about your coach and that relationship.
Yes, so my husband is actually currently doing my programming and coaching me. We are living in New Zealand. And obviously with the guidance also of my father, he's back in South Africa. He's actually one of the national coaches there as well. But yes, having my husband doing my programming and coaching, I mean, it's been great. I mean, who else to know you better than your partner? So definitely, I can discuss with him, like, when I'm tired, when training is a bit much, or like how my body's feeling, because obviously I've been in the sport for 21 years. Your programming has to be done very calculated. You have to take a lot of things into consideration, your training age, your recovery, and all those things. So all those things play a big role, I think, in programming.
Now, still with you, Mona, where are you at with Olympic qualifying? Are you a sure thing? Have you booked a ticket for Tokyo? Are you a long shot? Where are you at?
So currently I'm lying one spot behind a girl from Tunisia. So there's about a 50-50 chance at the moment for going to Tokyo. So we are still preparing 100%, like I am going to Tokyo and to get that spot, because obviously that's the goal. And, you can't go into the sport half-hearted. So, and it's not over until you've done that last lift. So, definitely, I'm still training as if everything is going ahead. Then we'll have to see what the decision will be of my Tunisian competitor. she's also been competing in the 59 kilogram category for most of her competitions. So if she drops down or stays to 64, that's why it's kind of a 50-50 chance. And we're just kind of waiting to see what's happening with our continentals, and then obviously to lift a big total.
Now, Forrester, what's the story with you and the possibility of Tokyo?
So at the moment, I'm set. If we're to take the current rankings, as I stand right now, I'm set to go to Tokyo. But I do have one of my teammates behind me, and he is chasing me. We just have about 10 or 7, I think about 10 rugby points difference. So it all counts to the African Championship, which going to be happening in Madagascar next month. So, like Mona said, we're all waiting on the African Championship to see how things turn out. I am set to go for Tokyo, and I am ready for the competition. So far as I'm healthy and I'm injury free.
Perfect. Now, we're going to have to say goodbye to you. Well, one of you. Now, before we move on to our the on the clock segment, we can only take one of you past here. Okay. So I've got a coin here. I'm not sure if you can see this. There's a maple leaf on one side. That's you, Forrester. And there's the Queen. We're all Commonwealth countries. That's you, Mona. Okay. So I'm going to throw this up in the air. Bear with me. And I dropped it and picked it up. And the answer is the Queen. Forrester, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for taking the time. Unfortunately,
it's
Mona
a pleasure
gets
meeting all of you guys.
Or fortunately, gets to continue with us.
Yay!
Thanks, Forrester. Take care.
All right, you guys have a good one.
Time
Bye-bye.
Bye, Forrester.
Time for the on the clock segment. Mona, we're going to put you on a 1-minute clock. We're going to ask you questions to get to know you better, not just weightlifting. Some of it's weightlifting, some of it's not. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. If I was to visit your home nation, what do I need to see?
Definitely all the animals. I think the wildlife is a big touristy thing for people to do. So that would be the number one thing.
Perfect. Best book you've ever read?
Oh my gosh, the Muhammad Ali book.
There you go. How do you react when someone finds out you're a weightlifter and then asks you, how much can you bench?
I get that question a lot. I always explain to them that no, I'm not a power lifter, I'm a weightlifter, and we do not bench. That is my quickest and fastest answer to give to them.
Most amazing place you visited because of sport?
I would definitely say in Australia, the Gold Coast. That's my favorite.
Okay, and favorite food that the coach doesn't want you to eat?
I would say pizza.
There you go. That's the time. You've run out of time. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
And best of luck at the Africans. And tell Forrester if you see him at the African Championships that we wished him best of luck as well.
I will do so. Thank you so much, Richard.
Pleasure. Now it's time for the tip of the week. One of the coaches for Team Canada has identified a problem which he says causes athletes to miss their snatch attempts. Well, what's the problem? Here's Team Canada's Greg Chin with the problem and the solution.
What's up, weightlifters? My name is Greg Chin. I've been an Olympic weightlifting coach for about 10 years now, and I've coached for Team Canada for 3. And today, we're going to go over a drill that you can use in your warm-up to improve your ability to use your legs completely in the snatch. All right, the reason we're doing this drill is that it doesn't matter how experienced you are or how good you are, a common problem I see in virtually every missed snatch I've ever seen is the athlete not pushing completely through the leg. All right, and what do I mean by that? I mean, they'll drive from the floor to say maybe above the knee, and then they'll start leaning back, or they'll get on the toes early. Either way, they're not using their legs correctly. This is a drill that will force you to use your legs correctly. I'm gonna just put my pipe away and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stand on these change plates here, roughly the middle of our foot. And then we're gonna basically just practice doing some snatch deadlifts, okay? We're gonna go from mid shin to the hip. We're gonna do that for about 10 reps. So you don't need to see all 10 of those reps. But what I'm gonna show you here is that if you pull incorrectly, or rather you use your legs incorrectly, the plates will just tell you, all right? So what happens if I start getting onto my heels early? I fall backwards. If my toes early, or I'm extending early, I fall forwards. The key to good snatching is staying in the middle of your foot throughout the entire lift, all right? So if you do this drill before you snatch, I promise you, you're gonna feel so much more balanced the next time you lift. Give these a try, see how it improves your snatch training.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. If you like what you see, please bookmark us here on YouTube. You can also like the IWF on Facebook, or you can tweet out to the IWF at IWFNET on Twitter. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.